Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today I want to talk about the Linus Tech Tips situation, right? Because this has been something that it seems like every few hours there's been like some sort of new development really in everything. Some new part of the story really comes out. I was going to talk about this a little bit yesterday after I watched the Gamers Nexus video, the initial, I should say, Gamers Nexus video, where they talked about a lot of very concerning problems with the LTT workflow, the content that they had been producing, some of the research that they had been doing for their videos. It was honestly a very well-constructed, well-researched video. I gotta give them props for that. I hadn't really watched a lot of Gamers Nexus before that, but I did see that video, and I think they presented their concerns about everything in a very good way. And ever since then now, we have seen Linus Tech Tips publish a about 21-minute response video, essentially, to a lot of that criticism and a lot of those points that were made. And then also on top of all of that, right, a former employee of Linus Tech Tips, or Linus Media, whatever it's called now as an official corporation, has come out and basically talked about their experience working for the company, claiming that there was like a lot of mismanagement. There was also really bad crunch for employees. They didn't really have time for breaks. They weren't treated the best. You know, there was this constant push to keep going forward and keep producing as much content as they can, continually, you know, just pushing this cycle, right? And, you know, as a YouTube creator who I've been doing this now for 11 years, I have over half a decade of doing this professionally as well. I've managed a team before around my content. I've managed freelancers, lots of different things. Just kind of knowing a lot of the elements, if you will, that kind of go into working on YouTube and content production, things like that. I really wanted to throw my 2 cents in on everything here and kind of just talk about the whole situation, because I feel like a lot of people, you know, they don't really understand fully what goes into a YouTube video, and especially on the scale that Linus Tech Tips is doing. I mean, this is a channel with 15.5 million subscribers, right? Like, they very consistently work with like top computer brands and, you know, top peripheral brands, things like that. They're a very well respected figure in the industry, you know? I know a lot of people in my personal life too that, like, when they need information about technology or like anything like that, their first go-to is Linus Tech Tips. And for me too, even in the past, I have watched Linus Tech Tips for these kinds of purposes as well. So like I said, a couple days ago, a video by Gamers Nexus came out in which they talked about a few different really big concerns with the Linus Tech Tips crew, I guess, and some of the issues that they were making in their content. So Linus Tech Tips, if you couldn't tell by the name, is a technology-based channel. And on there, they do a lot of testing for like new products, reviewing products, things like that. So for instance, let's say they, I guess, are reviewing a new CPU cooler for a computer build. And, you know, they're, I guess, showing you the pros and cons of getting this particular fan. They'll oftentimes say, test the temperatures that it reaches with different settings, show the specs, you know, talk about the technical side of everything with it. Well, unfortunately, in a lot of the more recent Linus Tech Tips content, there have been some pretty massive human errors being made in the research side of things. They haven't been properly controlling variables when they're testing things, and they've even been cutting corners in production to the point where instead of, you know, going back and realizing mistakes with their data sets or fixing obvious errors in the displays of like the names of these pieces and whatnot in the videos, whatever error that it might be made in the video, instead of actually spending the time and, as a company, money to fix these problems and make their content as accurate as possible, Linus has kind of gotten to this point of content production where they're consistently racing the clock with themselves, you know, and instead of taking the time to fix these videos and give them the adequate attention that they need, they've oftentimes been shipping out content with very obvious and blatant errors that unfortunately really could be, I guess, influencing the purchasing decisions of millions of people. I mean, they've not just in 1 or 2 videos made these kinds of errors. I mean, Gamers Nexus went through and systematically shown how this is a continuing error being made by Linus Media and whatnot. So as, I guess, a channel that prides itself in accuracy and, I guess, understands the responsibility of truthfully reporting data, especially in a situation where it is influencing consumers' outcomes, right? This is something that should never be happening. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. It's not like these guys don't have the money or the budget or the even employee resources to go back and make sure that they're doing the job right. What it seems to be coming down to, even from like employees' own perspectives when they talk about the company, is these very arbitrary deadlines that are being set internally by the company to force content out the door to try and maintain this really high rate of production, right? And it's caused a lot of problems. It's caused a lot of issues, and people have been calling that out. And so this kind of, I guess, became an issue that Linus needed to address as quickly as possible, but it also was one that needed to be addressed efficiently, you know? Just rushing out your apology for something like this is not really the answer or the way forward. And so Linus and them, they did publish a video. They have addressed everything. About 8 hours ago, as of me recording this audio, a video called "What Do We Do Now" came out, and it's definitely receiving some pretty mixed reactions, right? Like, a lot of people, I guess, are seeing the video and they're agreeing with Linus. Oh, hey, we're glad that you're, I guess, taking the time to fix everything or whatever. However, there were a couple of different things that people really started critiquing pretty heavily. One of those being the fact that there was like a lot of jokes, I guess, in this video, right? For instance, a little closer to the beginning, they talk about some of the financial shit of the company. They pass it to like the chief financial officer, and they make a joke about inlaying a sponsorship read for this video, which obviously in a video where you're addressing your company faults and you're basically apologizing to the people watching your videos, probably not the best idea. I mean, I guess they were trying to just make the video like a little bit more bubbly, you know, make it a little less awkward to watch or whatever, but it kind of made it more awkward in all reality. Now, I'm not like irate at Linus over this whole situation, right? You know, I get mistakes happen. Even though these are beyond just like a couple mistakes that YouTubers might make. Oh, they accidentally leave in a bad audio take, or the video glitches or something in a spot. These are a little bit more severe infractions of quality check and issues like that, but ultimately, if it was addressed in the correct way, not really the worst thing ever, right? If they actually came out and they were like, hey, we realize we're really fucking this up. We have a process to fix. Let's get that done. No bullshit, straight to the chase. I feel like a lot of people would have been more happy with the video, but once again, you know, they do basically say that, but a lot of it comes down to, like I said, the humor, them trying to kind of like make a joke out of the situation and whatnot. Also, they monetized the video, which upset a lot of people that they would place ads and whatnot on it. As a YouTube creator, I get why they did, because like you want to make that revenue, you want to make that money, and obviously the company has already been like making some pretty, you know, fiscally conservative decisions already. Not a total shocker that they would do that, but once again, for the optics of it, right, when you're releasing a video apologizing to your audience for something like this, it's best to just say, fuck it, we're not taking the monetization on this one. Just more of like a gesture of goodwill, I guess. But then the situation for Linus Tech Tips actually gets worse, because now, I guess a former employee of the company has taken to social media to kind of like out their experience working for the company. They claim there was like insane content production expectations out of them. They were constantly working with ridiculous deadlines, no time for breaks, whatever it is that it may be, right? It's, you know, pretty serious allegations as a workplace. Now, keep in mind, Linus Tech Tips, in their video, they announced that they're halting their content production. They're not publishing any videos for like a week or so they can go back and review their process. They're going to be working to be more accurate in their research and whatnot in the future. Essentially, the things that people were blasting them for, they said that they were going to correct, but I mean, then this came out, and I think it really just added way more gasoline to the already way out of control wildfire that this whole situation was for Linus Tech Tips. And I just want to point out, right, you know, a lot of this stuff adds up in the worst way possible, right? I mean, for instance, like a lot of the critique, I guess, that really kind of came out against Linus in the first place was concerns about the workflow, right? That they were pushing out way too much content, that they weren't taking the time to focus on quality. They weren't making sure their research was accurate. They weren't fixing blatant errors in their content because they weren't taking the time to. And then, of course, this employee comes out and talks about how the workplace was toxic, how they didn't feel valued. They were under constant duress, you know, constantly, once again, trying to reach this, like, time frame that led to this constant cycle of content creation where there didn't seem to really be time to stop, take a breath, and be like, oh, hey, maybe this could be better here, or maybe this error could be fixed there, right? Now, these are pretty serious allegations, like, as a workplace, to have someone accuse you of being a workplace that, like, is essentially rushing them to the bone, that's, like, treating them like shit, like their opinions don't matter, their insight doesn't count, things like that. These kinds of allegations are horrible, right? Like, I mean, especially in, like, the YouTube content creation scene, I feel like a lot of people imagine jobs like that as like, oh, you know, it can't be bad, right? You're making YouTube videos. But I think people don't realize that people like Linus Tech Tips, these kinds of channels, these aren't like the, you know, fucking commentary channel like this, where here on Optimus, it's just me, right? Like, occasionally someone will record some of the gameplay for me, like a friend or something, but I mean, all the audio, all the editing, everything, that's all me, you know? Like, this is my fucking channel. And sure, it's a business, it's a company, but it's me. That the business is me. For them, though, that's not the case. This is a company that has, I would imagine, dozens of employees who do different things, you know, have different functions and whatnot, and it's a massive team that is supposed to all come together. And when you're in a position where you're, you know, controlling a team, you're kind of having direction over these people, you need to make sure that not only are their needs being met, but the company needs are being met. And it seems like in this instance, Linus, the company, was more or less heavily focused on getting content out, heavily focused on the company quote-unquote needs, and not really the employees' needs. So it's at a point where people are now destroying Linus online for the what people are perceiving as weak apology video that was monetized for no reason, for the bad workplace conditions that are being alleged, for the constant crunch and content rush that the company is going through, and really, what's the end in sight? Who really knows? I mean, it's really gonna matter if they come back and actually fix these problems. Like I said, they're supposed to like halt their content production, kind of slow things down until they can rebuild these long-term processes, as they said. And, you know, that's all fine and dandy, that's all great, but, you know, I have a feeling, unfortunately, that had this shit never gone public, had people not started lambasting the company for these things, these kinds of changes would have never have been made. I mean, there was no financial incentive in the company to listen to these concerns and actually fix these problems. It was all about, well, fuck it, can we get the next video out? Can we rush the next piece of content out? And I get it, right? I'm a content creator, I upload multiple times a day if I can, right? If I got, you know, 2 or 3 video ideas, I'm coming to y'all with 2 or 3 videos, right? I get what it's like to, you know, push content through as fast as you can and, you know, try and get your content out there. But at the same time, man, you got to make sure that you're not just completely fucking it up, right? Now, there's been some instances where I've completely fucked it up and I've had to take the video down and re-upload it or things like that, you know, make corrections in the comments, things like that. I've done that before. It's not like everybody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. But on this level, this commonly, with these kinds of allegations coming out, it really just doesn't seem like a coincidence to me, man. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this works out. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about the Linus Tech Tips situation and signing out.